Hi, this is Ari Kopel with Shattering the Matrix. Today we have Crystal Andasola, and she is a seeress and a high priestess working directly with the Elohim and the beloved Master El Morya. She receives direct transmissions from El Morya and instructions to the people directly from the will of the divine creator. She is a direct conduit to Mother Earth, as well as other high councils, including the Galactic Command, the Mayan Council, as well as the Ascended Masters. She has been receiving transmissions directly from Sananda Jesus since she was 7 years old. Crystal's teachings are correlated and associated with that of the Arcturians, who work very closely with the Ascended Masters. As a seeress, Crystal has the ability to foretell of future events. Crystal's assignment on the Earth plane is to assist humanity through the greatest transformation ever known in our human existence by communicating love and light and anchoring divine truth on Earth while being of service to humanity. Her mission is to prepare the masses for the Ascension and fifth-dimensional frequencies that we will be experiencing once we cross over the veil of density. Crystal is also a natural-born Crystallogist, a master energy healer, and is certified in medical Qigong. Crystal, thank you very much for showing up today and being with us. Blessings, blessings, blessings. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Greetings to you, my beloved light sister, and thank you for having me on your show. I really do appreciate this.
Well, thank you for being here. Crystal, you and I have been speaking very much behind the scenes about, the timeline that we're in and the transformation that is to be occurring very soon for humanity. And so I would love to have a conversation with you. Hopefully it'll be on an ongoing conversation, because I believe that what you bring and the knowledge that you have and the connection that you have to the illumined world is absolutely crucial, especially the kind of information that you're going to be giving out to humanity, especially those that are ready to hear this information, and to take those tools, because what you provide are really tools that will be used for us that are ready to move on to our next level. So with that in mind, I would like to start the conversation with where humanity is at with respect to the timeline. What do we expect? What can we see in the near future? And let's just take it from there. Wherever the conversation goes, it goes, because we're going to be taking this from a very, very high perspective. I don't want to really go into the mundane stuff. We already know that there's a financial crisis going on. We know about the Illuminati and the Cabal, but let's take it a notch higher, okay? Let's take it from, what are we seeing from the higher perspectives, from the illumined worlds? Where are we going? Where is this whole thing heading, and how close are we?
Well, in my teachings, Ari, is that this is the greatest transformation ever known to our human existence. This is the opportunity to emerge from the carbon dimension and the carbon light body into the crystalline dimension and the crystalline light body. So we never experienced this kind of an ascension ever in our human existence. Basically going from mortality to immortality, if you will. All correlated and associated, obviously, around love and mastering that and knowing who we really are and what we really came here to do, that we are all particles of infinite divine love, and that we were created out of that matter, that material, that thread, if you will, of creation. Mm-hmm. And what was the second part of your...
Well, we're, obviously we come from the divine spark, which is love, right? Where are we in the timeline of how close are we to that actual point of the shift or the ascension or the rapture or whatever strikes your fancy, whatever word you want to put in there? How close are we, and how do we know?
Well, first and foremost, it's very challenging to give specific dates and times, as nothing is ever set in stone. Things are constantly moving and shifting. We as a collective consciousness and part of this universe, we have a responsibility to raise our vibrational resonance, our frequency, to a higher vibration, that is more of understanding, unconditional love, compassion. That is what we're here to learn.
Yes.
Compassion and unconditional love. This lifetime is kind of associated with preparing us for that. That is definitely what we will be working on and implementing once we make it through the veil, and those that will go on to fifth dimension. So as far as where humanity's at, that basically is kind of it's kind of a loaded question. It's all depending on the individual. Is awaken. I can tell you that there's a lot more work that needs to happen as far as the masses waking up and realizing and understanding that we came here to do far more greater things, and that we really truly are on a mission here, more so than what goes on in your hurry, worry, scurry aspects. I do know, and I am aware that the ascension is happening. It's happening now. We are under to me, personally, we're at the critical point.
Right. Yeah. Well, a lot of people are under the understanding. I mean, several understandings in reference to the ascension with respect to who's going to, ascend, what that's going to look like, etc. There's some people that embrace the idea that everyone is going to ascend. Okay, what that means, I don't know. Let's say everyone gets to go to a fifth dimensional reality, or plane of existence, or whatever, and that means everyone. Okay, then there are others that believe or understand that some will go where they're resonating to. So, if you're of a certain vibration, then you'll end up in this little, place. If you're of a higher vibration, then you'll be here. And if you've mastered, then you'll be wherever. What is your take on that? Do you agree with any of those two postures, or is there another posture that maybe I didn't address?
Well, it's always been given to me that, the ascension is a rites of passage. It is an initiation. It's something that you have to work towards. And again, it's raising your vibration, understanding what your mission is, being of service. So it's kind of like college, Ari. We are all enrolled in Earth College here.
Right.
I think this is a really good analogy that will help kind of everybody's inquiry here. So some people are freshmen in college. Some of us are getting ready to graduate. I do know that with all of the things that are going on the planet right now with, the New World Order and the Illuminati and all of that does play a very big role in this ascension and what's happening. We all know that their agenda is to control the world, the reptilians and things like that. But they're playing out their role. What they're doing is assisting us in the great awakenings. So there are arrangements that have been made by many of the elders and hierarchy of councils. Those that are ready for fifth dimension will move on to fifth dimension. The earth will split through the holographic field, so it will be like two earths. One will obtain a completely and total negative polarity, while the fifth dimension will be primarily a positive polarity. there is a dimension that will be there for lukewarmers, so to speak, people that just aren't quite ready for fifth dimensional frequencies. Maybe they didn't fulfill their contracts.
Right.
The contracts, we all signed a contract in metaphor before we enrolled in our mother's wombs and were brought here to Earth College. So that's the part that has to be addressed. Each individual, it's about remembering who we are and remembering what we came here to do and to be of service, to represent the light, unity, community, and cooperation. That is the will of Creator. So we are emerging out of the paradigm of duality and separation, that Piscean paradigm, tradition, duality, separation, and merging into unity, community, and cooperation. The Aquarian age, also known as the golden, referred to also as the golden age or golden octave. So it really is going to boil down to where your vibrational resonance is. If you're not ready for certain vibrational frequencies, then it could be, how would I say this? Certain galactic or cosmic vibrations could vaporize. It could implode you in ways if you're not ready for certain vibrational matches. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So what you're saying is if a person's resonance or vibrational level is not resonating to that vibration that is coming in, those new energies that are coming in, et cetera, that they won't make it. So what you're saying is that a lot of them will be perhaps recycled? Is that what you might be saying? Okay.
That's a very appropriate and fair statement. All energy, everything is energy, and it will be those energies will be recycled. The councils that make up so many different, whether it be the Galactic Federation or the Mayan councils or the Ascended Masters or those that represent Ra or the Palladians, all of those are all working together to find a resolution because of the domination that we are facing and the power takeover of this planet. So, which is why it is imperative that people wake up. Really, authentically, truly wake up.
So let's define wake up. What is the wake up? Okay, because I mean, a lot of people have woken up actually have become aware. Okay, of a lot of new age philosophies. They've become aware, perhaps even now, of reptilians. Maybe they didn't even know about reptilians before, and what archons are, and all these things. But it's a little bit more than that, right? Because you become aware, but then there's a sense of responsibility that goes with that. And it's not just, okay, I'm aware, okay, that's it, I'll pull the covers over my head and go to sleep, because I've got...
That's what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's back up and define, and I love how you said it is a responsibility. Well, let's define the definition of responsibility. The definition of that is the ability to respond. And it's being in service, raising your own consciousness so that every thought, every word, everything you think, everything that you say, and everything that you do, whoever you are, has a direct impact on this universe. So first and foremost, people really need to understand and know that to be true. So that you can, let's see, how do I say this? So that you can work in cooperation with Mother Earth, the divine councils, and where the crystalline dimension will be. It's an opportunity, we are all in this together. Love, it boils down to love, understanding, unconditional love, being of service.
Yeah.
What can you do as an individual to to contribute to creating unity and understanding that. So to each individual, you know, we're all wired up differently. So I think each person or soul group has a responsibility in assisting the universe in bringing this together, this ascension, this graduation. We always refer to it as the graduation.
Sure. Right. So, okay, so responsibilities would be, for example, to me, would be to be more engaged in participation with possible solutions, to not be in a way in self-service, and I'm saying self-service even though a lot of us think we're in service to others, but in my opinion we go into a state of self-service when we are just thinking about ourselves and not thinking about, okay, how am I going to contribute? How am I going to formulate solutions? How am I going to be more engaged in this planet that I live in? That to me is being, you know, responsible and, you know, taking action. Is that part of what you know, because that's part of, you know, obviously being in service to others, is you're being in service to the planet. Therefore, you're not really in service to another person. You're really being in service to self, because we're really all one, aren't we? So, so by turning away, you know, because a lot of us are, you know, doing that, unfortunately. We're just kind of like so self-absorbed with our own ritualistic things and trying to get ourselves, you know, together, and you know, that we're forgetting that the world that we live in, which is a sentient being, you know, and the creatures on it have a lot of things that are not exactly in alignment with the divine blueprint. So do you feel that is part of, you know, what the ones that are, I mean, I can't say all humanity is going to get there like that or get it, but at least the ones that are calling themselves part of the spiritual community, that we've called ourselves light workers and all these other myriads of different names and terminologies, that we take responsibility, because I think that ultimately that might be why we came here, isn't it? Isn't that what you feel?
Yes, that is truly what I feel, and I do feel that it starts with self. You know, if you don't love yourself and honor yourself, respect yourself, believe in yourself, and nurture yourself, you can't expect anybody outside of you to give to you what you're unwilling to give to yourself.
True.
So I teach that, you know, self matters. You need to work on all of those imbalances within yourself so that you can be a clear, responsible person in life and contribute at a much more higher, abundant amount, opposed to, you know, being broken, whether it be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be to the individual. So empowerment, you know, empowerment is very important to remember that we are that spark of divine creation. Is a huge factor, but we've been so conditioned by society and other, you know, our governments, our teachings, our educational systems, our religious systems and things like that, to keep everybody kind of housebroken, so to speak.
Right.
Not, you know, confusion. We're kind of navigating ourselves right now through the laws of confusion, in order to balance that out with that clarity. You know, it's a knowing who you are and knowing. And if people can sit quietly enough and also, you know, just contribute to your spiritual awakening. I've always been taught by the councils, you know, the mundane world, hurry, hurry, worry, worry, scurry, scurry, is what governs the planet. So, you know, putting some sort of spiritual practice in front of that mundane is very, very helpful in in people learning to master. We've got to learn to master ourselves.
Correct. Yes, and that's where we're at, I guess, at with the timeline for, you know, the spiritual community, the ones that are really wanting to make a difference, the ones that really want to see the ascension happen, because we're all the catalysts, right? And you know, we're the ones that, you know, that famous saying, we're the ones that we've been waiting for, or something to that effect. But I think a lot of us are falling short, and because maybe we just don't know what else to do. You know, the world is, you know, it is run, unfortunately, at this moment by forces that are here to create a huge resistance to the white hats, or the brotherhood, the white brotherhood, the brotherhood of light. You know, so it's just very difficult. It creates hurdles for us, and so what I would like to get from you is what tools can you share with us that those that are ready to move to the next level in their mastery, you know, whatever that might be, to create maybe a higher vibration in themselves, to get into that space where they're connecting directly to source, where they're no longer looking for answers outside of themselves, or looking for exterior, you know, beings or ETs or whatever, or, you know, to rescue us, or having to read the blogs, or having to listen to, you know, a radio show from somebody, you know, that will give them those little pearls. What can they do to connect to source directly? Because that's what we ultimately need to do. We need to remember, first of all, that we are divine, and that we do have a right to connect to source and get information directly to source. Can you give the audience any advice, any tools to be able to do that?
Sure. You know, raising the vibration within yourself is, you know, that's the format, Ari. That's the foundation in which each individual has to build within themselves in order to continue to building off of and from that. So raising your vibration, there's so many different ways. Your diet. People don't understand that your body is a temple. Your body is the vehicle that holds your Holy Spirit. So blessings. I'm a firm believer in blessing everything that you eat and drink. Bless everything on your journey, but bless it from your own birthright of knowing that it is your birthright to be able to harness the infinite Creator's love and life force energy. Okay? So, you know, Spirit always taught me, don't believe in anything, just believe and leave the end off. So, you know, your food, your diets, blessing everything that comes across your path. There are a lot of high vibrational products out there. You know, some of the things that, you know, I've created a Crystal Ascension water that is phenomenal for assisting in cleansing the accumulated density that we've accumulated in our chakras, meridians, and energetic centers. You know, contacting practitioners, you know, I've got people that come to me regularly, routinely for years for readings to help them to be able to understand what's blocking them. You know what I'm saying? So there's a commitment that first has to come along with it, that you're going to commit or take a part of your day, a piece of your day, and make it about connecting with spirit, or your angels, or your spirit guides, or directly from source, or Mother Earth. So those are ways. Listening to sound healing. Sound healing and sound meditations are very, very important right now for our vibrational frequencies and resonance, so that the cellular memory starts remembering who we are. There's meditations, there's affirmations, there's oracles that people can work with, that can do daily readings. on their own self for guidance.
What about, like, for example, being in a state of gratitude? Because to me, being in that, coming from that place of gratitude and coming from a place of being humble is, one of the things that even Jesus spoke about, coming from that place of being like a little child, where you're innocent, where you're in awe of things. It's that place of humility and meekness. Do you find that is something that is also helpful in this whole process?
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for including that. Yes, the attitude of gratitude is very imperative. We need to learn that if we just ask, this is a free will dimension. And so some people have the free will to not know, while others have the free will to know. So, whatever the God of your understanding is, that's the place where you want to begin in communication. The Ascended Masters always talk about they want people to converse with them, not just to pray to them when they're in a crisis or need a miracle, but to literally converse in being very specific in what it is that you are requesting from Divine Source. So, but the attitude of gratitude is important, and giving thanks as if you've already received whatever it is that you are praying or requesting from the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned connecting with Ascended Masters, and I'd like to take that further with you. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, because of the New Age and the Truther movement and whatnot, of course, that are putting Ascended Masters all in the category of being part of the fallen and part of the dark agenda and whatever. So, it's been my mission lately to bring this to the light, to actually provide everyone with the correct information, based on, of course, direct experience from myself and others that do have very positive, relationships with the Ascended Masters, with the true Ascended beings that come in humble, in a very state of humble or humility, a state of being in service.
Right.
Yeah. So, how do you tell someone who has never had an experience with an Ascended Master? Because I know that you work directly with the beloved Master Morya. What do you tell someone who has never had an experience with an Ascended Master, probably has wanted to, but now has become jaded? How do you tell them that, or convince them, or if you don't have to convince them, but just, how do you explain to them what an Ascended Master is, and how does one connect with one?
Oh, wow, Ari, that's
a loaded question, isn't it?
A loaded question.
Yes.
For me, I was summoned to Master Morya in 1997. But prior to that, from a very, very early age, I pretty much have been communicating, talking, and interacting with spirits, angels, and particularly Sananda. At the time I was 7 years old, when I was being given information at a very early age. So I don't know that every single person has the kind of experiences I've had. I know for me, when I was able to see into the spiritual realm and communicate and talk directly to Sananda, I thought everybody did that.
Right.
I did. I thought it was just as natural as breathing or moving my arm, until I eventually, by the time I was about 8.5, I started realizing that it wasn't happening to my classmates and things like that. So again, it's a rites of passage, and I think that's very important for people to understand, that the councils govern, what those challenges, what that curriculum, that experience is for the individual, correlated and associated to what their mission is. I teach my clients particularly to listen to their intuition. Follow your heart, listen to your intuition, and then get into your intellect to navigate where your heart and your intuition are saying, telling you, and where they're guiding you to go. So the intuitive center, for me, is a very important center to all of us, because we all have those existing chakras that are in place and are there. We all are born of the Holy Spirit. So it's literally learning to listen to your higher self, which it doesn't know how to trick you. It doesn't know how to fool you. It doesn't know how to deceive you or lie to you. It knows only truth.
Right.
So that's a good place to start. First and foremost is understanding that process, and not getting in your own way with the intellect. So, it would take me literally months to articulate and tell the stories of how I evolved through all the different experiences, rites of passages, things that I have gone through to get to where I'm at now. But I also know that many people are wired up for specific vibrations.
That is true.
So each ascended master is correlated to a ray in the spectrum of light that has an agenda with it. Master El Morya's is world teaching, communication, and basically is responsible for making sure that the will of Creator gets carried out. We know Sananda works directly with the golden ray of unconditional love and compassion and brotherhood and sisterhood, of all that is of oneness. Saint Germain works, is correlated and associated to the purple violet flame, transmutation of all negative energies and influences on the planet. So most people, I believe, that are kind of the first wavers or runners, if you will, it's a knowing. I don't know how to explain it, Ari, other than it's just that knowing. I didn't learn and read a bunch of books or go to, the school of metaphysics or mystics to be and learn and know what I and who I am. It's just always been a knowing for me. So, but there are many people that, there's all kinds of books that are written and material that is out there for people to access, including schools and things of that nature, that they may need to rely upon to help them to remember who they are and what they came here to do.
Absolutely. Very, very, very well said. Knowing, define that, if you could. Well, what is your understanding of what a knowing is versus I believe something to be true?
Well, for me, a knowing is something that I never question. It happens from the core and the essence of who I am. Whether it be, that's another very good question.
It's like a certainty, isn't it? It's like I'm absolutely certain. It's a certainty, equivocally, it's absolutely certain.
Exactly, it's solid. There's no need for further investigation, further inquiry, further anything. There's no doubt attached to it on any level, in any form. You just know it. It's I know that I know that I know.
Right.
Opposed to, I think our feelings are a language of light. That's how we express our language of internal light. I I think for each, again, each individual is going to have different experiences, have a different perception. I can only speak on my own behalf for how it has been for me. Mm-hmm. When I know something, I know it from the core. I know it from the literally the matter that makes me up.
Right.
To the core of every particle of who I am. I know it to be true.
Right.
Whatever it may be.
Correct.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. I'm hoping. I mean, I have perfect clarification of it because that's the way I operate. I just want to make sure that the audience, whomever does not understand what a knowing is versus I believe or, I think, okay, I just wanted them to get an idea as to what a knowing is so that when somebody says, oh, I absolutely know that I know that I know, that it's not just a New Age vocabulary terminology. It really is something that is indeed true. It's something that is certain and there's no questioning, right. And it's an absolute.
Yes, and I do want to, if this helps some of the listeners, the knowing doesn't necessarily come into the intellect. For me, it's always been something that's in my gut.
Correct.
The core of my gut.
Right.
It's that intuitive center that just is solid.
Yes. Yes. So with that, I wanted to then take it a little further and with respect to the knowing, okay, as to what we know to be the changes that are coming forth on the planet now as we're moving closer into the event, okay, whatever that event may be, right? Because we really don't know how it's going to come down, right. But we know that it does come. It's almost like a birth, and so in the past, planet Earth has gone through similar, birth pangs of some sort, except that this one's going to be extraordinarily different in many ways. Do you know? Do you feel it? Do you know whether the Earth is going to go through some changes that are going to be a little bit more dramatic, or is going to be a little bit on the easy side? There's some people that are of the opinion that the Earth changes or the Earth process is going to be very gentle this time around. And then there are others that believe that nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be an ascension, or however that looks. And then there are others that understand that there might be some heavy-duty changes, that there's going to be, maybe some shaking and some events happening. What is your knowing on this?
Well, Ari, my knowing is that Mother Earth did make a vow that she would be as gentle as she possibly could be. Remember, first, Mother Earth is ascending herself. Mm-hmm. So she is going through the same process as we are, ridding herself of any and everything that does not serve her higher self.
Right.
So as far as earthquakes, so to speak, volcano activity, superstorms, all of these things, we've been experiencing this for the last decade. So the challenging part is deciphering what's happening naturally and what's being generated from the powers that think they be.
Sure.
And those that are playing with their little harp toys and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say. I mean, Mother Earth has made that vow, but those powers that think they be, that are behind certain technologies that can change that, is a different story. Nonetheless, I try not to necessarily focus on, okay, is the Illuminati, did they create that one, or was this a natural event for Mother Earth? I don't give my energy to that. I just know that it's all part of what is supposed to be happening. I do think that in certain particular geographical locations, it will be more challenging than others. the tectonic plates, where volcanoes are, the ring of fire, things like that will all have a part in that.
Okay.
Again, it's free will, and that includes Mother Earth.
Sure.
Mother Earth also has free will to choreograph and create her own ascension in her own creative way.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Sure.
So it's always very, very important to really, timelines and dates and so on and so forth are never really given. They can get you around or preparing for upcoming events, but I've yet to get dates as of, okay, on such and such a date at such and such a time, this is going to go off or happen. But I do know that because of what is happening with the reptilian takeover on the planet, whether people want to believe it or not, that's not my limitation. I just know what I know, is kind of forcing. It's helping with this ascension, actually, in my perception. It's moving us to that greater collective consciousness faster than maybe if people that don't believe or feel like, oh, that's not going to happen in my lifetime. Well, I was told at the age of 7 that it would happen in my lifetime. So again, how, and here's another thing that I think is very, very, very important. There is quite a bit of non-disclosure coming from the hierarchies of the higher councils. Remember, anything that's put out in the ethers is privy to, as you mentioned before, light hats, dark hats, so
Sure.
that's what we refer to them as. It's privy to both energy fields. So we all know, and I'm sure that many of your listeners are very well aware of what's going on with the Illuminati reptilian takeover, New World Order, human enslavement, so on and so forth. So it's not to look at those things and go, oh my God, and go into fear. It's to say, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to play a role in their movie.
Right.
And that's how the councils have always taught me and instructed me to give the information that we really do not have to experience that shenanigan, those nonsense. We don't have to be a movie star in their movie. You don't have to be a producer or a director.
Right.
We need to be over here co-creating the world that we really want to be of and in, or experience. We, the people, it's our birthright we are the co-creators. So your thoughts, everything that we think, everything that we say carries a vibrational impact.
Right.
The entire universe. So, the goal is for us to wake up and to remember that we are these beautiful light beings correlated and associated to one. If they want to, be left to eat each other's faces off, so to speak, then so be it. Have a free-for-all.
Yeah.
The goal is to make sure that those of us that don't want to be a part of that experience aren't here to experience that.
Correct.
On co-creating a new world.
Yeah.
Be the change that you want to see.
Sure. Well, here's the observation, okay, on my behalf. And I think that if I'm observing it, many people are. So how do we co-create a world? And I'm assuming when we say co-creating this world together, we're talking to the spiritual community, because the masses are, they're pretty much asleep and doing, being very much in the matrix, etc. We're going to be co-creating our world, yet we can't see eye to eye most of the time. about just simple ideas or simple concepts. You know, we're constantly disagreeing, we're constantly challenging one another, and you know, that type of thing on blogs and all kinds of places. So how you know, and we notice that the dark side, right? The negatives, the dark ones are all organized, very much on the same page, very, very well equipped to be able to work together to bring forth their mission, and we're just scattered.
Well,
go ahead.
Their mission. Let me help you out here, Ari. Their mission is, you know, to be they're a catalyst,
sure,
if you will, to catalyst us into a different vibrational resonance. Okay, the difference between them and what's going on in the light workers realm, if you will, is that they have a loyalty to their mission, their way. They have hierarchies. They don't get into debates and this and that. See, one of the discernments from the higher councils, and I do include all of them that are all working together to assist us in this ascension, is the fact that we still have competitiveness. We've got, you know, ancient wisdom trying to come through and penetrate the new age kind of realm and aspect of things. So you've got truth comes in, and if people that aren't very diligent in their discernment and their connection with Infinite Creator and making sure that the information that they are getting is that of absolute truth, meaning they'll get the truth, but they can get entities, can be very sabotaging of work that they're doing, that the light worker may be doing. So there's protocols, you know, invocations of protection and prayers and things that really need to be done by the light community, and really coming as one and allowing people's different perceptions. We're not all on the same vibrational frequency, but some of us have already ascended, and we're here to assist humanity and to guide them through the eye of the needle. You know, we are experiencing a third dimension matrix, but we really are in the fourth dimension.
Clarify that, please.
Well, the fourth dimension would be your reptilians, your greys, your planetary takeover, your zombies, your black-eyed kids, your creepy crawlers, your icky pickies of that nature, monsters, werewolves, all that kind of stuff. It's of a dark polarity. But remember, we have to experience light and dark.
Yes.
That is the polarity. You wouldn't know clarity if you didn't know chaos.
Yeah.
Okay? You wouldn't know happy if you didn't know a sad. So we're still in the densities of polarities. Once we get to sixth-dimensional frequencies, there is no law, so to speak, of polarities. So right now, we're dealing with that. In the fifth dimension, while it is primarily positive, meaning a positive dimension, it has a slight negative polarity. When the Earth makes it through her own ascension, she will literally split through the holographic field, you know, meaning there will be two. An Earth that's crystalline.
Right.
The new Earth is of a crystalline grid. It's a crystalline matrix. Remember that the spirit of Mother Earth is crystalline. Everything, even in this modern day world, really operates from the energy of crystals, which, by the way, I do want to insert that in real quick. As far as the raising of your vibration. Crystals can do in 5 or 10 minutes what would otherwise take you 5 or 10 years to balance, heal, make the whatever it be. Crystals are very, very, very huge part of what's going on in this planetary. Every electronic box, every gadget runs from liquefied quartz.
Right.
So if the powers that think they be i.e. the dark hats, they know that. So they've used this technology to distract the masses. So the discernment with the councils is that the masses are desensitized.
Sure.
You know, we're just becoming more and more and more and more desensitized because we're not in a generation of nature. You know, nature is what brings you into balance.
That's right.
I've always been taught that. You know, whenever you're having an off day and you're off balance, go to nature. So we don't have that. We've got all these gadgets, as the council calls them. Everybody's, you know, Facebooking, social media, blah, blah, blah. So you have to understand, and this is so important, Ari, that the intention of the dark polarity is to keep the light polarity fighting with each other in separation, in discord, in duality. It works wonderful for them.
Yep.
See, because they're very loyal. They have, you know, their secret meetings. They're this. They have a protocol, a very rigid, and these people are born into this. So they're taught this from the time they're taught to walk and talk. The loyalty is all over them, and secrecy. Where for us, it's not, because we do follow the free will and this and that, and people want to challenge this and they want to challenge that instead of everybody getting into their actual knowing.
Right.
So, you know, I'm also a firm believer in you got to know to divert.
I agree.
Okay? If you don't know what the enemy is doing, how in the heck are you going to know if you need your light guns doubly loaded, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if you even need to load your light guns, so to speak. So, you know, this is, while we are working for unity, and yes, we are all one. Everything in this universe is connected, but right now it's the game of life.
Yep.
Okay? In everything that you're taught that is reality is really the illusion, and everything that we're taught that is the illusion is really the reality. And I think that's what greatly contributes to confusing so many of the light commanders, ambassadors, workers, so on and so forth. Like, people don't know their place. Where on the other side, they know their hierarchy. They know where they're at. And of course, you know, money and greed and all of that kind of stuff is what highly influences their distraction or their intention in order to distract us. So first and foremost, this is a game.
Yeah.
It really is a game, even though it's not. The game is to teach us that we are one, to remember who we are.
That's right.
And that you don't have to play a role in that, you know. We get so many people that are like, oh, I don't want to know what's going on, oh, I don't care what the Illuminati, or I don't believe this, or I don't believe that. Well, you might want to wake up to that. Because they are preparing for world takeover. And I will tell you this. This is a check you can deposit. What is divulged from the councils is that the dark hats are very, very, very well on their way at generating the 95% of negativity that they need to generate on the planet.
Right.
In order for their next cycle.
Yep.
Okay? So, in some weird kind of way, the ability and having the free will on this planet has kind of maybe, I don't want to say interfered in our awakening, but I don't know, Ari, it's hard, you know? There's people that are on so many different frequencies.
Exactly.
Until they get unified.
Exactly.
If my truth is going to be completely different from your truth, or you know, Sally Sue's truth, or, you know, whoever. So that's the thing. Everybody kind of gets all their stuff all mixed up. You know, the whole competitiveness. People want to be right. Well, there is no right, there is no wrong, there is no good, and there is no bad in universal language, or universal law, I should say, excuse me.
Yeah.
There is justice and injustice. There is healthy choices and unhealthy choices, but I don't know, Ari. I don't know how all the collective light hats will collectively come together, unified. I do know that cooperation is a huge part of what we need to be working with, and everybody just bring their truth and their insight to the table without disregarding maybe someone else's.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can take my experiences away from me. My spiritual teachings are not up for debate. I tell my clients that. That's my rule of thumb. I don't have the time and the energy to get involved in nonsense of proving to people who I am and why I'm here. I don't have any interest in that. My interest and focus is on doing what I came here to do for the sake and the love that I have in my whole heart for humankind, not to mention for our beautiful Mother Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So each person's commitment and their degree of loyalty around their work is also a huge impact and influence on what gets done and what doesn't get done.
Yeah. Well, they also might be, they have some kind of like instructions. Maybe they're wired, differently. Who knows? I mean, it's just that we've been so compromised as a light community, and you kind of wonder, in whose best interest is that? Obviously. Yeah.
And let me tell you, Ari, there's so many things that the masses don't know because they're like, oh, God, our government would never, they would never turn against us or harm us. Listen, that's bullshit. Let's all take off the bullshit hat. Let's get real, roll up the sleeves and go, okay, every day that I go outside, I'm bombarded with chemtrails.
That's right.
Okay? I have intel information around that I don't want to disclose at this time for reasons that are very valid. Okay? I happen to know that your electronics in your house, they're all, they reek or seep out this electromagnetic energy that zaps and drains your electromagnetic energy. So unplugging, they're so crafty at the things that they do to keep people from reaching their light or their vibrational highest potential.
Yep.
And that's the goal, is to reach your highest vibrational potential, which in truth, for all of us, is unlimited. Our potential is unlimited. We're not taught that.
Right.
So first and foremost, many people have to go back and start unlearning. That's right. What they've been taught, that's distorted and fraudulent information, so that there is room for truth. And in the process of that, being aware, mindful of some of the shenanigans that's going on. For instance, when I go to work and I see the chemtrails, I immediately start invoking the purple violet flame.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? Those don't have to be chemicals falling on this. I think I'll use my ability of alchemy and I'll turn them into, love and light sprinkles.
Right. Pixie dust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pixie dust or whatever it is.
Right.
It's that intention. Your intention is what matters. So if everybody started doing that,
that's right,
then we would be transmuting the violence and the things that they're sending at us. If everybody started unplugging their electronics, now that they know that it actually depletes your electromagnetic energy field, and it was intended to do that, then, so all these things, when you know better, you do better, but people have to get out there and get the information and start applying even the smallest little details to the greatest ones in order to shield yourself from these things, know what's happening, and then start focusing on how do you counteract that.
Yeah. The problem is that I see that, sometimes, all of what you're saying takes work. Okay, and I think we've become so complacent and so accustomed to thinking things are going to fall in our lap, that the higher ups or the whatever is just automatically we're granted immunity or whatever. I mean, I was under that impression as well. That honestly, it does take work, doesn't it? I mean, we really do have to send out that intention. We do have to actually vision or visualize the violet flame. Transmuting the negative, transmuting these chemicals, transmuting all the hate and everything like that. That in itself takes work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah. So that's part of the responsibility that I was talking about at the beginning. I mean, people need to step up and take responsibility, and we are the solution as long as we understand that we have to take an active part. And it doesn't mean, for many, it doesn't mean going out and picketing and standing and marching in one of these in front of Washington, picketing whatever, Monsanto or whatever. If that's what calls you, then by all means do it. But it's as simple as doing what you said, invoking the violet flame, invoking the beings of light that represent and are in service to Prime Creator, working with those beings, going directly to source. That, in itself takes work, because you do have to go into that silence, and you've got to be able to discern and erase your mind from all the noise and the chatter, and just completely connect directly so that you get the right answers. And it's not a free ticket, folks. That's what I'm trying to say. You got to work.
Not.
Yeah.
And people have got to understand, Ari, that it's your divine birthright. I've always taught people, again, I'm not here to prove myself or convince anybody of anything. I'm here just in service, in love and light for my fellow brothers and sisters. We're all in this together. But I also know that, yes, infinite creator, source, it's your birthright. If you ask, Creator will give you the answer.
Yep.
And you are very correct. So we have to start making the adjustments and following the protocol. In all the other dimensions, there is order.
Yep.
We are the only form of energy in existence that's still running amok. So you cannot change what you are unwilling to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to start looking within yourself. What is it that I want to change, or maybe need to change within myself, and I want to change because I want to be a better person? Mm-hmm. That has to start coming. First, there has to be a foundation. You need a beginning, you need a middle, and then you need an outcome, followed by a beginning, a middle, and an outcome. It's a process, and it is a lot of work, and it takes a lot of commitment.
That's the word.
And a huge amount of responsibility. I've always known that being wired up in the way that I am is a sense of responsibility.
Yep.
Have a responsibility to put my knowings or my teachings or my information out there for those that may want it. And again, we also have to understand that there is the law. Free will doesn't just govern for what people want to know.
Right.
It also governs the right to not know.
Right.
So those are the ones that we need to start waking up, because this is not just going to be, we're going to go to sleep and we're just going to wake up, all of us collectively in one, tucked away in one whatever. I mean, people have got to understand, they have been working very diligently. All the councils culminated together at working on these specific dimensions that are vibrationally appropriate for whatever the vibrational frequency is for the individual. Because remember that when the planet splits, it will be a positive. The fifth dimension is a positive polarity. Okay, there will be an earth. It's like her old embodiment will stay behind and be a very negative polarity.
Yeah.
There is positive polarity in that dimension, which was why I've always kind of went, well, you know, all of the powers that think they be that are creating all these underground prisons and human enslavement and New World Order and blah, 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 they can just be left behind and eat their own damn faces off of each other.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We'll move on, you know, but we, the people, are the antidote. We are the antidote.
Yep.
There are more of us than there truly are them. And at that point, I'm talking about the Illuminatis, those that govern and rule the world. But first you have to understand and wake up to the fact that everything you've been programmed to believe is distorted, fraudulent information around our government, the presidents, the Democratic, all that crap. It's just crap to me, because it's non-truth. That's what they do to get people to program you,
Sure.
to condition you. People are conditioned to not stand in their power and to think that they're limited to this or that. We are conditioned to think that, when in reality, our truth is that we are not limited to anything. Our potential is unlimited.
Right.
We are the co-creators. Every thought, every word, every thing that you think, say, or do has a direct impact. It goes into the ethers, into matter, and it creates, and it comes back at you.
Yeah.
You are what you eat. You are what you think. You are what you are.
Yeah. So what about those that don't want to pay attention or put their attention to the things that are happening in the world that are obviously negative? Some of them are totally in denial. Some just don't want to put their attention to it, because by putting their attention to it, they're firm believers that they are creating it or bringing it into reality. What is your take on that?
My take is, first of all, I want to clarify that to be aware of something doesn't mean that you are feeding it energy. We have to be aware of things. People go, oh, I don't want to know. I don't want to see what the other side's doing because I don't want to give them any energy. Well, there's a wisdom that comes along with to be aware of. You don't have to, be a part of it energetically. I got this thing about, since when did information translate into fear? But it shows us, it's kind of a compass, so to speak, to show us how much people believe that.
That's right.
I'm a firm believer is to know is to divert. If you know something's over here, it gives you the opportunity to divert it. So, you have to understand that awareness is a skill. It's a tool that people should really depend on. Now, your question to those that just want to stay asleep and stay involved in the hurry, worry, scurry matrix, it's their free will, Ari.
Yeah. Well,
they have the free will to stay stuck, but they'll go to a dimension. There is a dimension that's already created for what is called the people that are kind of lukewarm. They're not negative, ugly, corruptive people, yet they haven't awakened fully to their light potential either. So they all have to go to their own dimension where all those like-minded consciousness is together until the next cycle.
Sure. Yeah.
And all of us that have made it and through, it's a lot of work. Don't ever forget, we're in an initiation. It's a rites of passage.
Yep.
Because they have to make sure in that fifth dimension, if you're still resonating from duality and separation, that you won't be able to make it. We can't have that generating. The councils can't take a chance of this discord that's happening will happen again. And I do say, remember, we're all in this together. We are connected to all that is in oneness. So for all of the beings that are generating darkness and fear on the planet, I send them love and light. That's the greatest thing you could do.
Yeah.
I don't feed them fear. I send them love and light.
Absolutely.
And make sure and try to, do everything I can to make sure that my vibrational resonance and my octave is so high that they can't penetrate or sabotage my work. Mm-hmm. But it takes work.
It does.
People have to be able to balance their mundane world while we are still in a matrix that people have to pay their bills, people got to make their mortgage payments and pay their car payments and all of that. Remember, there is time. Time is really timeless when you're working in that space. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yep, it does. It does. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about the certain events that have been in the news recently, potentially. I mean, well, it hasn't really been in the news, but I think I've heard you speak of it too. In reference to the tidal wave potential in the East Coast. Because I've heard some say, for example, that, let's say, what is the point of bringing that to somebody's attention? Because if something were to happen, if a tidal wave were to come, let's say 6 hours away, what can somebody do after all? Is what what I've heard say. And it's really, some people might say, well, that's bringing fear into the collective consciousness of people. So because they can't really do anything anyway. What is the importance of that? What is the importance of this tidal wave situation that has been talked about, may come or may not come? What is your take on that, and why do people need to know about something like that?
Well, I personally know that I would want to be alerted to that information, and people may think that there's nothing that they can do, Ari, but I also know in my heart of hearts that many drops of water create an ocean.
Sure.
You see, if people want to take the time and maybe they get given the information where they have enough time to pack, go see some family somewhere way far away from that, not be one of millions of people trying to get gas or get out of a geographical location. Maybe they just want to sit and hold the energetic space, mm-hmm. or send that tidal wave or that earth energy or that element, love and light. It's for many reasons. Maybe some people don't want to know. I don't want to be blindsided and an asteroid, just hurl me and not be able to give me any opportunities. It's interesting when the tsunami, the one in Japan, there were signs. Everything was standing still. Mm-hmm. The animals, there was, the animals running. So there's all of these things, when you start seeing animals running for high ground, or nature starts behaving in an awkward way, or something that we're not normally seeing, I can feel these things in my intuition. That's part of my conduit to Earth. Mm-hmm. While understanding a lot of it's part of the Earth changes, and this planet is so overpopulated that, maybe there weren't supposed to be cities and
by the coastlines
and stuff that are by the coastlines and under sea level. I mean, so I don't know. My clients particularly, and the people that I work with, are very grateful to get insight and information around that.
Right.
We know that 2014 is going to be a very, very interesting year, and this is where Mother Earth is really going to start, her labor and delivery, so to speak, of her new Earth. We are the midwives of that. I believe that collectively we have the power within us to send any region focused, intentful, healing energies of protection, love, light, whatever it is that you can generate within you. It helps. It goes back to, it matters. All of that affects the universe as a whole. Mm-hmm. I believe that we do have the power to heal Mother Earth. We have the power to assist her in her ascension, that she may be there for us in our ascension.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good point. Yeah, I mean, you know, I personally, I'm of the belief, or should I say, this one is a belief. You know, it's like I feel, it's my understanding, it's my personal opinion. Okay, that I would rather know, so that I would have choices. Okay, whether my choice is to stay put, whether my choice is to be prepared, or leave town, or you know, anchor the light, or whatever it is, you know, people should know. And so I am always the one that will, you know, blow the horn and say the sky might be falling, you know,
right.
You know, and if it doesn't fall, well, that's awesome. Then that means that, right, you know, we diverted it somehow by being, like you said, aware. That awareness is really important. I certainly don't want it sneaking up on me. But the truth of the matter is that we are on that timeline, and you know, I do agree that the Earth experiences, you know, changes like that, and things, you know, if you're going to be in a coastline, and you know, we're like tiny little ants compared to, you know, yes, the cosmos. So an ocean coming over with a tidal wave is not something that's totally not, you know, impossible to experience. So but what is your understanding about this particular event? Is there a high probability of this happening? Is it just you know, it's you know, whatever? Is it a theory? Is it for real? I mean,
well, it is a high possibility. You know, this was given to me in 2005. Mm-hmm. It was given to me that there would be a tsunami that would take out the entire eastern seaboard of the United States and the coastline. So there's a couple factors here. You also got to incorporate into the fact that, remember what's on the new $100 bills.
Yeah.
So that tidal wave, that tsunami hitting New York, only in the encryption of the $100 bills, it comes from a nuclear missile that is intended to be launched and hit New York by, again, our brothers of dark hats,
sure,
so to speak. And then again, you have the natural event. So those beings are taking great advantage and opportunity of knowing that all these earth changes are going to happen and are scheduled to happen. So it's hard to decipher what is really natural from Mother Earth and what's being harped and generated from the powers that think they be.
Right.
But nonetheless, it is very, let me just tell you, Ari, the potentials are very high. Remember also that the supermoon, the moon controls the tide of the oceans. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the influence of the moon's energies are very important and effective to what happens with the oceans, you know, those energies. So you've got, you know, that was one of the things why Council was like, oh, this is a beautiful opportunity for all of our little light children to get out there and do a full moon ceremony and start sending the moon love and light. You know, we have the ability to divert. And here's the issue. When these things don't happen, you know, you get the ones out there, oh yeah, well, that never happened. You know, the Illuminati started that with their Y2K, that people wouldn't be prepared for the December 2012 event, which is basically the grid, the cosmic grid, preparing to descend onto Earth as heaven ascends and the cosmos, the grid descends. But nonetheless, I lost my train of thought for a second.
It's okay. We were talking about the
tsunami, yes.
Yeah.
So these events are absolutely going to happen one way or another, or unless they are diverted. So my point where I was going with that is we have to understand that we do have galactic councils that are here that have been assisting us for quite some time.
Yep.
So they are diverting a lot of these catastrophic, cataclysmic events in order to give us the time that we need to follow through with our protocol and what we need to do in order to be a part of that ascension. So just because something didn't happen didn't mean that it was some crock of shit.
Right.
It means that it was more than likely diverted from either a higher intelligence or the collective intention, focused intention of all the light workers and healers on the planet.
Good point.
So people should be grateful and thankful, in my perception, for that.
Absolutely.
Knowing and the pre-warning. And I agree with you. You know, if it were me, I'd want to be able to have an opportunity to make a choice.
Sure.
You know, I'm tired of other whatever's making the choices and taking our ability to make our own choice away. I just provide an opportunity for people to have their birthright choice.
Yep, absolutely. Great point. Okay, so let's move on to the 144,000. I think that's a really good topic to get into and delve into as deeply as we feel necessary and that you are capable or willing to do. Who are the 144,000 according to your knowing? And if a person is resonating with that and has that knowing that they are part of the 144,000, I mean, are these beings that are here now, or they are, according to Christian, I guess, beliefs, are they off-world? I mean, are they coming with, in a cloud of smoke, or are they really maybe some of us that are really wired that way, that are encoded this way? So what is your knowing about this?
144,000, they're the children of the sun, Ari. They are encoded, meaning there are many of us here that are not just humans. You understand that? We're having the human experience, but we are coded into much higher frequencies. The 144,000 children of the sun, it's like a soul group. Does that make sense?
It does. Mm-hmm.
It's a specific, if you haven't found this, it's a specific vibrational soul group that is correlated and associated to transformation, and work directly with the great central sun, and many will be drawn to the raw channelings and the raw teachings. Mm-hmm. So these are it's encoded. You're wired up. If you're one of the 144,000 children of the sun, you know it. You just know it.
Right.
And we are here because we're also the catalyst, so to speak, for helping in the Great Awakening. When the 144,000 children all vibrate simultaneously to the same vibrational octave, it will change the vibrational octave on the planet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And there is there's a hint of mystery, if you will, around the 144,000 children of the sun, for good reason. You know, anything that's put out there is privy to either way. So I do know that there are 144,000 children of the sun. They are here to assist in the transformation of the human race and to assist in raising the vibrational collective consciousness to a specific octave.
Wow. So let's say that one has that knowing, right? One has that knowing that they are one of the 144,000. What do they need to do to step up their game, to be a part of that collective that is going to be resonating or vibrating to that same vibrational octave?
Well, first and foremost, I highly, highly recommend that if you perceive that you are one of the 144,000 children of the sun, you might want to start with the law of one transcripts and writings to help you to remember, because a lot of what we need to do in our kind of rules and regulations, so to speak, lie within that, also known as the raw channelings.
So it's the information that is contained within that it will help probably activate with that remembering.
Yes. You're exactly right. It's an activation, and it will be, the experience will be unique and customized, so to speak, to the individual, while collectively there's a bigger activation that happens collectively, simultaneously. But first it has to begin with the individual, so that you are the instrument, you are the tool, the modality that will be used.
Right. Now, I have heard say that the 144,000, or a representation of that amount, could be, I don't know what percentage, could be 144 only, could be even a smaller amount. They would be coming together in some sort of sacred place for some kind of an activation. Have you heard of anything like that?
Yes, there has been mention of that, but again, remember what I said, there's still some universal secrets around that.
Sure.
There is a protection field greatly around and involving the 144,000 children of the sun. I can tell you that won't happen on this dimension.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
It will be happening elsewhere. Okay.
Makes sense.
So all of that will happen through your dream lodge or your other ways that you won't be embodying necessarily.
Very interesting. Have you heard of the mention anything about the living mandala that each one of them carries?
Excuse me, Ari, could you please
repeat
that? My
yes.
internet had a little glitch right there.
Okay. Have you heard of the concept that each of the 144,000 carries within them a living mandala? Have you heard of that concept?
Yes, it's a part of a mandala that will come together as a whole. The flower of life is very, very important and symbolic to the work that we are doing.
Okay. And so is this going to be happening, that activation going to be happening in the inner planes?
Well, it'll have to happen here at the ground level within, you see, so that knowing, meaning you have to first be awakened to understanding and realizing that you are one, and then you have to remember, keyword, you have to be able to remember, okay, now I just remembered that I'm a child of the 144,000 children of the sun. Then you get the law of one, and you start adjusting, if you will, and adapting to what the protocol is. In order, so all of those things have to happen first, and then the councils will decide, as they will also be working, bopping you on the head, ringing bells, serendipities, coincidences, serendipities, things like that will, happenstance, all these things kind of happen and come together so that it's, clue track yourself to put it all together, and then they take it from there. In the same way that the dark hats have their secret stuff that's going on, it is very important to understand and accept the fact that so does the councils. of the hierarchies. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yep.
There is not a lot of disclosure happening, meaning even, and I'm sure many of your audience that channel will confirm and understand that there is certain information that is being given to those of us that are here to assist, into bringing in the will of God to happen. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that information doesn't get channeled or downloaded.
Correct.
It's given at council.
Correct, and that's where it stays.
And that's where it stays.
Yep.
They cannot take any kind of a chance that there could be any kind of mistake.
Yeah.
That would set this ascension back.
Right.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So, wow. Okay.
And we're kind of we're almost, there's just some things, and those there's just some information that the councils don't want out right now around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is interesting because they're, sometimes there are folks that, either are providing information to the light worker community and whatnot, that supposedly comes from these high councils or come from the Galactic Federation, etc. Stating this and that and the other. This is happening. This is not happening. We're going to be doing this and we're going to be doing that. And to me personally, that's one of the clues. That it's not coming from those places because the information is totally kept, almost like within a spiritual vault. Like, you don't walk out with that kind of information, period. And so that if one is revealing information that supposedly comes from, from them, and it's of a nature that it's kind of secretive, you kind of know if you have any little ounce of discernment in you that information is inaccurate or disinformation. Do you agree with that, or?
I absolutely agree with you impeccably. This is a time where the vault of universal secrets is being accessed and opened, and again, all of these decisions and the beings that will be in correlation with that, they're already wired up for that, Ari, long before they ever entered their mother's womb and came here, and enrolled in Earth College. So, to each individual, it's going to be, people have their own truth. What can I say? Mm-hmm. I know what my role is and what I am to do, and believe me, I'm constantly being given information as things begin to start happening.
Right. So do you think that, or do you maybe know, it depends on, what level of information you've been given about this, that the collective activation of the 144,000 is something that will happen relatively sooner than later, and is that a prerequisite before, in other words, the activation of the 144 is something that would happen prior to any earth changes that would take
Ari, I apologize so much. The internet connection just glitched out.
Okay, sure. The 144,000 activation that we were talking about a little while ago, yes. Do you feel that that's going to be taking place prior to any potential earth changes and that type of thing before, maybe even an ascension event occurs? Is that something that has to happen, that it's like that triggers everything, that triggers the actual event for a possible ascension?
Yes, and it has been happening. We've talked a little bit about that, behind the scenes. So yes, this is something that has been in progress and has been happening. As a matter of fact, I can tell just through my own clientele that those particular individuals are coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. And there's a certain vibrational energy that I'm actually able to access during my readings, because I read the eyes, which are the window to the soul. So there's a vibrational familiarity and knowing that I have the ability to tap into and resonate with. So right now, as far as what I understand, which is another reason why it was important to get that information out on this show, so that people could start preparing and not procrastinating.
That's right.
And getting, what the protocol is. And then again, the councils will work with those individuals. That's not for me to divulge or disclose at this point in time of how that will go down for obvious reasons. But yes, I will happen kind of simultaneously as other events are happening. Make sense?
Yes, it sure does. It sure does. Awesome. And go ahead.
This is a time for people to truly just, people have got to wake up and understand that other plans are being made for humanity. And if you don't want to be a part of that plan, and you want to co-create and be a part of the new earth and peace and love and unity and community and cooperation, there is much work that still must be done. Period. There are a lot of work. People have got to wake up and start doing whatever it is. And again, your intuition will alert you what individual, what works for you, and what works for this person, and what works as far as how to raise your vibration, whether it be through herbs, whether it be through the crystal Ascension water, or crystals, or nature, or your diet, or spiritual stuff that you will be reading, or sound vibration. All of these things culminated together. Each person will know. What the councils ask is that when you get your bell rung, do something, take action.
Yeah.
Intuition will tell you what you need to do. So if people can learn to put a little set of ears on their intuitive center and learn to listen. I can't tell you how the council, listen to your intuition and follow your heart. And then get into your intellect to navigate what your heart and your intuition are guiding you and saying. Because so many people are caught up in mental conflict and confusion, the dog chasing the tail, the hamster on the hamster wheel, the merry-go-round going round and round and round.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there that need to request, okay, stop the ride, I'm ready to get off now, and get busy doing what Spirit is requesting me to do.
Correct.
Now, this is truly for the greater of all that is of oneness. And even though we're all connected, remember, this really is the game of life. We came here to remember who we are and to have the experience that we really didn't need to have negative experiences.
Yeah.
As oddly as that sounds, it's truth.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's say that people are interested in using crystals to help them with raising their vibration, etc. As you said, that it would cut their time by, what is it, like you said, several years, right?
Oh, crystals can do, like I said, in 5 or 10 minutes that would otherwise take you 5 or 10 years. And what many people don't know is that, Mother Earth at any point in time can raise the vibrational octave of any crystal. You know, the crystals that are actually in circulation right now are far more powerful than even what we perceive them to be. Many of them are still profoundly working in a neutral state, because again, we have to start clearing the density at the chakras, the meridians, your energetic points. All the density that we've accumulated has to start melting down and melting down and melting down in order for us to take on our crystalline light body. And it's important for people to understand, because we're never taught this in society, but at the end of every nerve ending in your body is a crystalline fiber.
Wow.
And some people have more than one little fiber at the end of the nerve endings. So that your nerve endings is what is the conduit to the crystal itself. Remember how important crystals were in Lemuria,
yes,
as well as the civilization of Atlantis. That's what took down both civilizations, was the misuse of the power of crystals. When people figured out that you could actually program a crystal for manifestation, sexual gratification, euphoria, so on and so forth, and it knocked everything out of balance. We're here to put that back into balance and make those corrections that were made in those past lifetimes. So many people don't know that 33 1/3% of the Earth's crust is quartz alone.
Wow.
So if you start looking at Mother Earth and you take away all of the distractions and the buildings and the structures and blah, 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 and shift your focus to all the mines and the gems and all the different varieties and specimens of crystals and stones and minerals and gems, and, you know, that's what her body is made up of.
Yep.
You know, her spirit is crystalline.
Wow.
So, you know, there's a lot of intelligence, folks.
Yeah.
Very key word, that lies within crystals. And what many people don't know, when you walk into a crystal store and you reach out for a specific crystal, an amethyst will say, it was actually the amethyst that sent out a vibration that called to you, that made you reach out to embrace it.
Wow.
Because the crystals know what's out of balance and what's not. We have the DNA of crystal in us.
Huh.
Crystals. We also have the DNA of animals. We have the DNA of plant. You know, why? Because we are all one. You know, the only difference in a crystal, a plant, a dog, and you is the form of energy. It's just a vehicle.
Makes sense.
See?
Yep.
So if you go back and people research Lemuria and the civilization of Atlantis, you can absolutely respect and honor the power of crystals. They are very, very powerful. You know, many of our light brothers and sisters of other dimensions use these crystals as well as tools, you know, in their technology.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, it really, some crystals, if you're going to go to a store and buy one, what do you suggest to somebody, you know, because some of these things can be programmed, you know, in not a good way, right? I mean, so you've got to be very selective as to which one you pick out?
Absolutely. And one of the reasons why I had such a passion to open up my own metaphysical store is because during my journey, I could feel energies that weren't serving the crystal, and, you know, just in my experiences of going into other metaphysical stores. My intention was to have a metaphysical store where I would hand pick all the crystals, clear them, cleanse them, and bless them to their highest vibrational potential that is within that of Mother Earth's will as well as the divine will, so that people wouldn't have to worry about any type of ill-willed energy on my crystals. But I can only speak for sacred space, and I can only speak for my own responsibility. So if you are getting crystals from metaphysical stores, it is important to cleanse those crystals, whether it be cleansing them through the full moon cycle, or burying them for 3 days in Mother Earth, or some crystals you can use bergamot with, but not all. So you need to kind of do your homework and research that, which actually clears the programming of crystals. Using the moon, there are many different ways, and there's plenty of information for people to access on how to cleanse and clear a crystal that's out there in the internet and books and so on and so forth. So it is important to clean your crystal, bless your crystal. I really want to reiterate, Ari, how important it is to know that it is your divine birthright to go directly to infinite source. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking even about the ascended masters or angels or light workers, I'm talking straight to infinite creator.
Yep.
And ask for your crystal to be cleared or blessed or whatever it is. Remember, nothing is more powerful than the power of intention.
Sure.
It's your intention that matters.
Yep.
I also, while we're on the little topic of crystals, I'm being asked to also give another little bit of tidbit of very great wisdom that many, many people in the world of crystals do not know. And that is, when you purchase a crystal, or especially for all of those that are getting ready to head down to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, if your crystal is wrapped in a newspaper, okay, whatever is on the newspaper, writings, articles, whatever, is now programmed. It programs the crystal.
Wow. Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Don't let people wrap your crystals in newspaper, nor should you wrap your crystals, whether you're traveling, moving, or anything. Do not wrap your crystals in printed newspaper.
So you should come probably prepared with your own wrapper or some sort, or a wrapping device or something, so that if you purchase a crystal, that you can have them wrap it up in that, as opposed to
absolutely
or cloth or something. Interesting. Wow. And how would a person use it in their perhaps meditation, prayer time, whatever, so that it can assist them in raising their vibration? How do you suggest that?
Well, that would all depend on the specimen in which the person is working with. If you're working for amethyst, it governs your crown chakra. It's spiritual awakening, spiritual attunement, spiritual insight. It also is an environmental harmonizer. It balances the body, the mind, the spirit. So it's and it is phenomenal for people that are challenged with addictions. So it is very, and I teach my clients this, Ari, it is so important if you're going to dive into the realm of the crystal kingdoms, it's important to have an interpretation book so that you know what the healing properties are of your stone. Because the more that you know that, the more that you can actually access and tap in to that crystal's highest potential. Make sense?
Yeah.
Well, amethyst is a very good stone to have in meditation or on your nightstand or when you're seeking spiritual inspiration or knowledge. So every crystal has a different property, healing property, and a different modality within it. So it's important to learn that, because I can't tell you how many people will come in to my store, gravitate to a crystal, I'll direct them to the crystal interpretation book, and they read it, and their mind is blown. They're like, oh my God, this was everything I'm going through.
Right.
It addresses everything of why they came into sacred space in the first place.
Yep.
So it kind of amplifies and kind of revs them up and gets them, to make sure that you're honoring your crystal, clear them, wash them, love them, kiss them. It's the greatest gift you can ever give a crystal is a kiss.
Aww. Yeah, because they're alive. They're very much alive. It's a consciousness, isn't it?
It is. And thank you, absolutely, yes, they are very much so alive and very here to help us.
Yep, very interesting. So, how can people get in touch with you? And let's say they want to get crystals or anything from your store. Can you give us all the contact, your website, and all those wonderful things?
Absolutely. My website is sacredspacedurango.com, and I would like to welcome and invite anybody that may be interested in crystals to contact me through my website. Also, we have Medicine Shield necklaces. Those are not on the website because they are one-of-a-kind pieces, Ari, but I have people can call me and give me their name, and I can match them with the mineral vibration that's calling them. It's just something I was born to do.
Wow.
And also, I really want to talk about the Crystal Ascension water I was commanded to make in 2009 by Infinite Creator. Was not prepared for that. Kind of looked over my shoulders and went, oh God, they're talking to me. You know? And so I used the highest vibrational crystals on the planet. One of the specimens used in the water is only found in one place on the planet. Of course, I do not divulge what specimens I use. That's proprietary information.
Sure.
It is highly, highly concentrated crystal water.
Wow.
And it comes in a 4-ounce bottle, and you can literally take a dropper of that. You can add it to a glass of water, a gallon of water, and it will bring in the crystalline life force energy into what you're drinking. Or you can just put it straight down the hatch, or use it to take your tinctures or whatever. But it is extremely powerful, especially for people that are struggling with confusion, laziness, lack of energy, lethargic, things like that. It's very crystal clear.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really gets in there and starts clearing out the accumulated densities, specifically correlated and associated to the meridians, the chakras, and the energetic centers.
Wow, that's
It is very important, and I really, really do tell you, I was commanded by Creator and told exactly what to do and how to do it with this water. So it also has the blessing of Infinite Creator as well as direct from Mother Earth infused into this water.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you sell those in your store. You create them yourself. You put them together, right? And then you sell it at your store.
Yes, and then we also have a Crystal Ascension herbal tincture line. We have 44 different formulas to address various imbalances in the organs. And Susan Page is my master herbalist, so she makes the formulas, and that's what she does.
That's fantastic. So if anybody's interested in this, can they obtain these through your website?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
Absolutely. And if they're interested, I also, as you know, already do readings. So
good.
I work directly with those that are the thread of the will of Creator. Specifically, those are the beings that I read for or seem to gravitate and come across my frequency.
Fantastic. So once again, your website is Sacred Spaces?
Sacred Space.
Sacred Space. Durango. SacredSpaceDurango.com. By all means, go check it out. It's a great site. You will see Crystal's picture there as well in her bio, and all her lines of wonderful products that she has, especially the crystals. It's really important, I believe, that to get a good crystal from a reputable location. So anyway, Crystal, thank you very much for joining me today on Shattering the Matrix. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and having your wisdom and information, your knowing come across here to all our audience. What a wonderful treat we've had with you, and hopefully we can have you on again. So all of you, I strongly invite you to visit sacredspacedurango.com. Take a look at her products, and if you have any questions, also they can email you, correct, through the website? Or do you
Yes,
have? Okay.
correct.
Fantastic.
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you very much for joining. Please stay tuned to our next show, whenever that one comes up, probably in about a week or so. You've been listening again to Shattering the Matrix. This is Ari Kopel, sending you a lot of blessings and all my love. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ari.
Thank you.